Why is Fear the Walking Dead so hated? Sit back, relax, and I'm gonna explain you the full lore of Fear the Walking Dead. Now, to answer this question is a bit tricky because there's a lot to it. So it's important that I tell you about one of the major things about this show first, and that's that Fear the Walking Dead can be divided into two very distinct eras. Seasons 1 through 3 under the showrunner Dave Erickson, and then seasons 4 through 8 under the showrunners Andrew Chambliss and Ian Goldberg. I'm gonna call them C and G for short. So seasons 1 through 3, Dave Erickson. So you got the Dave Erickson era, and then you got the C and G era. These two eras have completely different visions. Now, seasons 1 through 3 nowadays are seen as the golden era of Fear the Walking Dead. During these seasons, Dave Erickson was working very hard to make a unique spin-off that was focused on a dysfunctional family and how they got through their struggles while also the zombie apocalypse was starting. However, one big issue at the time was the fact that it was mismarketed by AMC. AMC heavily focused on the fact that this show was pre-outbreak and during the outbreak, leading to expectations that were not met. Yeah, we did see the outbreak in Fear the Walking Dead, but the entire show isn't just about seeing zombies rise from the first day. No, it's mainly focused on these characters, this dysfunctional family. So as a result, the show had a lot of hype in the first episode, then quickly died down. During the entirety of seasons 1 through 3, the show was dropping viewers because, you know, it was a family drama, not about the outbreak. But that didn't mean the show was bad. The show had a relative storyline. It was consistently going somewhere. And despite its consistent storyline, the early seasons did have some imperfections, like some moments of just weird acting or just bad directing. Yet I feel like it's what added to the charm of the show, you know? The fact that it wasn't really perfect, it wasn't exactly like The Walking Dead. And people who dropped the show in the first 3 seasons, I feel like it's either for one of 2 reasons. First being that you didn't connect with the new characters because, I'm gonna keep it real with you, they're not very likable at the start. It takes a long time for those characters to progress. Or you just read The Walking Dead and you expected Walking Dead. And when you saw that the show was different, you didn't like it. Now, speaking of a show like The Walking Dead, well, that's exactly what happened to Fear the Walking Dead after season 3. You see, Fear the Walking Dead was getting constant hate during this time, and by season 2, AMC had decided they were gonna fire Dave Erickson, but they let him write one more season, which was season 3, which is arguably the best season of the show. Now, keep in mind, AMC was just going after numbers at this point. There was still like 1 million people watching in season 3 who loved season 3. Little did they know, Dave Erickson was gone by season 4, and the story was gonna change forever. So now comes in C and G. Now they're gonna write seasons 4. So after the major viewership loss, they decided to hire a new showrunner. And like I said before, the show was not bad in seasons 1 through 3. It may have been slow, it may have had bad moments, but there was a consistent story. But that didn't really matter. I mean, they were losing viewers. So now C and G have entered, and their approach was to make Fear the Walking Dead more like The Walking Dead. In doing so, they did a 2-year time skip, completely disregarding the season 3 finale, which was left on a big cliffhanger where a dam exploded. So yeah, I mean, we ended off with that just 2 years later, and a very bold decision to introduce Morgan and make the story primarily focused on him. While there were still elements of the earlier seasons, the characters that we grew to love had all kind of become shells of their former selves. And it kind of makes sense. I think their plan was to make this like The Walking Dead, so they kind of just said, screw you to the old characters, right? Like, we don't care about you. But that would prove fatal later on because that fan base seasons 1 through 3, probably the strongest Fear the Walking Dead has ever been. And ever since the show has been under the writing of C and G, it has never had a consistent storyline. It has had a lot of ups and downs, really high ups, but really low downs. I mean, season 5 was just terrible for a lot of people, but then a really good season is season 6. Like, I'm pretty sure people say it's even better than season 3. So what you have here is a show that was never that good in the beginning, that had a consistent storyline, to being a show that had really good episodes still, but a lot of bad episodes, to now where it's just, you see it as, it's an alright, it's a kind of a bad show, right? Basically, the show has never found its footing. There has just been too much change, too much ups and downs. The show has never just established itself. And so that's the reason whenever someone asks me, should I watch Fear the Walking Dead? Or if someone asks another person, why is Fear the Walking Dead so bad? You're gonna hear a different answer every single time. There's too much of a fragmented fan base with the show. The first group being the people who resent the show for what it is now. They truly saw what Dave Erickson was doing. It was going somewhere. And I completely agree, it was going somewhere. Even if some seasons were slow or some episodes were bad, it was a consistent storyline, characters were progressing. And then you have the group of people who may have thought it was an outbreak show, and then they watch it and like, oh god, what is this? This is terrible. So then they just hate on it just to hate on it. It's like, oh yeah, I never liked Fear the Walking Dead. I could never watch it. Or you got the people who started watching after Morgan came because, you know, they're more of that target audience and they couldn't care less for the original cast, right? And then there's the very rare select group of people that just like the show in general, the whole show. Yeah, of course they noticed the change in season 4, but it's like, I like the change, you know? I would say I'm kind of a part of that group. You know, I don't go around hating on this show every day. But so yeah, it's created a really tricky tricky dynamic where you're not gonna get a consistent answer, or you're not even gonna be able to figure out anything about the show. It's kind of that thing you're always out of the loop on. And so I hope this video fully explained it to you guys. So should you watch Fear the Walking Dead? Well, you heard what I said. It's not gonna be your favorite show. If anything, I would watch it just to examine it. What happened? How did it change so much? What would you have done differently? It's really interesting to see how this show like fell apart in so many ways, but also picked itself back up. It's really interesting because the show was never that good in the beginning, but it also was really good in the beginning. It's so confusing. It's hard to explain. You have to watch it to understand. And the reason that many people are excited for season 8B is because Troy is returning, and this is all focused on the OG cast. And while C&G may have not been that good of showrunners, they have proven successful twice with season 6 and season 4A. And I want everyone to comment down below why you don't like Fear the Walking Dead or why you won't watch it. I want to see every single person. It's going to be saying something different. How much you guys want to bet? Hope this helped.